Members, the Lord Mayor. City of Adelaide Council meeting on Tuesday, 22 July 2025. The Lord Mayor is in the chair. This council meeting will be streamed live and recorded for publishing to the internet. Please note that an audio and visual recording is being taken of this meeting. This means that your presence at and any contribution you make to the meeting may be collected, used, disclosed or published publicly by the Council, including transferring outside Australia.
Council acknowledges that we're meeting on the traditional country of the Kaurna people, the Adelaide Plains, and pays respect to elders past and present. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with the land. We acknowledge that they are of continuing importance to the people living today, and we also extend that respect to other Aboriginal language groups and other First Nations people who may be with us this evening. The Council also acknowledges the vision of Colonel William Light in determining the site for Adelaide and the design of the city with its 6 squares and surrounding belt of continuous parklands, which is recognised on the National Heritage List as one of the greatest examples of Australia's planning heritage. We pray for wisdom, courage, empathy, understanding and guidance in the decisions that we make, while seeking and respecting the opinions of others. May we in this meeting speak honestly, listen attentively, think clearly and decide wisely for the good governance of the City of Adelaide and the well-being of those we serve. I now ask all those to stand in silence in memory of those who gave their lives in defence of their country at sea, on land and in the air. I believe we have no apologies or leaves of absence this evening. I now ask if someone would move the confirmation of minutes. Moved by the Deputy Lord Mayor, seconded by Councillor Davis. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried, members. Do we have any conflicts of interest to declare? No? If not, we'll move on. We have no deputations, no petitions, but we do have the recommendations from committees. Firstly, the City Finance and Governance Committee. Councillor Siebentrit, I see your hand rising. Would you like to move?
I'm happy to move that, Lord Mayor.
So that's moving all 3 items in block. Thank you.
Yes.
Seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor. Any debate? If not, all those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on to item 12. This is from the reconvened Infrastructure and Public Works Committee. Deputy Lord Mayor.
Yes, Lord Mayor. May I ask that the items be taken separately?
Of course.
There are amendments to 7.2 and 7.3. Would you like me to move 7.1?
I think it would be appropriate if we're taking them separately. We move one at a time in case people don't want to second them. So you'll move 7.1
yes,
as
I am,
printed, seconded by Councillor Snape. Is there any debate on that as printed? If not, I'll put it. All those in favour? Was against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. 7.2, the Integrated Transport Strategy. Deputy Lord Mayor.
I wish to move a very motion or a new motion.
So a variation which speaks to the preparation of a reallocation of funds from savings. So do we have a seconder? Councillor Snape, would you like to speak to it? Councillor Martin?
Yes, I will, Lord Mayor. Look, this was flagged and discussed at committee. Let me just say broadly in the first instance that I'm enormously grateful, particularly to the consultants involved in this, but also to the administration for the work that's gone into developing a substantial integrated transport strategy. I note particularly that the consultation to this process was the largest ever undertaken by this council, and certainly, so far as I'm aware, the largest response ever. The documents are very detailed, and I note also, Lord Mayor, that the recommendations, particularly in the instance of safety and accessibility, have been endorsed by the motoring organisation, the RAA. But there are, broadly speaking, and from page 11 of 48 of the report, page 143 of our committee report, a summary of some of the commitments, but the ones that I particularly want to draw attention to are those concerning safety, where we commit to make our streets safer, more friendly places through a range of initiatives. Now, I won't go through them all because this has been discussed at detail at committee, but the purpose of the change that is proposed at 3 is that in reading the report, of course, there is no allocation whatever of budget to this strategy, nor any kind of priorities. And the proposal is that we ask the administration to provide to us a costing of the recommendations, but also to propose which measures are introduced and from when. And I have nominated the 26-27 draft budget and business plan for consideration of those. But I have also mentioned that we ask the administration to identify items where there are potentially quick wins for the city, but without substantial cost. And those measures include, as has previously been identified, Lord Mayor, changes to traffic signalling sequences, all of which can be introduced at very little cost and in negotiation with stakeholders, including DIT. Lord Mayor, I ask members to endorse this. It is a document of which we can be proud and which I think will contribute to increased and better movement through the city in the decades to come.
So just if we could get some clarity from the administration, is the budget reconsideration the Q1 or Q2? I just need it. I think members might need some help as well.
Through the presiding member, I'm reading that part of the motion to reflect the budget reconsideration processes throughout 25-26, be that Q1, Q2 or Q3.
I hope that helps. Your seconder, and they'll... Councillor Davis?
In relation to the engagement report, what percentage of the respondents were City of Adelaide ratepayers?
I can't recall that. Can someone help me? I think there was a metric in the report, but it escapes me. I think...
I found, is it 76% were not ratepayers?
Sure. We think that may be right.
Was there a breakdown? And I'm sorry, I'm playing catch up because I've been away. Was there a breakdown between what our ratepayers thought about the strategy, what our business owners thought about the strategy, and then what people generally thought?
I think there was, but I can't. It was different for each element of the consultation. I think Mr. McCready can recall it. Perhaps through you, CEO, go to Mr. McCready.
Through you, presiding member, there is indeed, if you go to the consultation report, where it's actually as part of the attachment, it's been discussed twice in regards to stage 1 and stage 2, and the general comments were everyone were in favour in regards to the overall strategy. Some had concerns for various different modes. A lot of people had interest in public transport, naturally, and increasing the frequency of public transport.
No,
but
no.
we can take that on notice.
Sorry,
and give you
the question. No, the question's not being answered. I don't want to waste our time if the question's not being addressed.
Through you, Presiding Member, as I highlighted before, it's contained within the documents in the consultation which is provided by URPS. It's quite explicit in regards to the level of comfort or areas of concern in regards to the people who responded to this extensive community consultation. I'm happy to take it on notice and provide a breakdown, but on the whole, the items of concern were varied, public transport, parking, so on and so forth, but we can respond on notice.
Okay, so that's a no?
I think that was an answer to the question.
I think that's a no.
No, I just think Mr. McCready answered this.
Sure, yeah, I think the answer was no. Do we have any kind of sense as to why there was such a massive uptake from people outside of the city who aren't ratepayers, whether they actually come into the city or not? It seems very strange that we would have such a mass influx of people who aren't even residents commenting on this, because I think we had about 200 responses and only 50 of them actually live in the city.
I think that it's a capital city and we attract a lot of interest from the broader community.
Do we have any insight into whether there was any kind of community groups that this was particularly pushed amongst?
I think there are always community groups that push questions, whether it's scooter groups or bicycle groups or car parking groups and business groups. And, yes, there was particular outreach in the report that particularly targeted children, and there was a large chapter of children's perceptions of public transport and travel in the city.
During this,
and there are 10,000 of them in the city.
Yeah, and how many responded? I think 9?
No, I think it was quite a large number.
9 under the age of 18? Is that right? No. How many responded under the age of 18?
I think we're going beyond the purpose of this motion, Councillor. I've been quite generous, but the motion is not about the consultation.
Yeah. Sorry? It is about the consultation, isn't it? The engagement report contained in Annexure A 7.2. Okay. Isn't this about the integrated transport strategy and the response and the consultation from that? Phase 2 engagement summary, integrated transport strategy, that has nothing to do with this, even though it's mentioned in the first item, which says Stage 2 engagement report as contained that we note. Apparently that has nothing to do with this motion. Is that right? I'm confused. The Phase 2 engagement summary, which is contained and annexed to the report, you're telling me that it has nothing, but my questions have nothing to do with the motion, even though point 1 says, notes the integrated transport strategy Stage 2 engagement report. Apparently,
I don't think we can delve into the whole report.
I'm just asking questions. So it is relevant, right? Look, I'm happy to speak to it. I think this has been a complete failure by the council to properly engage with residents. 75% of our rates come from business owners. And in this report, that is a huge report. This is a massive report. The Integrated Transport Strategy is a massive report, a massive vision for our city. And 7% of the respondents are business owners that live in the city. And 75% of them aren't even ratepayers. And we're going to rely on a report that doesn't even drill down into our ratepayers. From what I can see, this is an abysmal engagement rate. And I think it would be very difficult on a strategy like this to achieve such a result. With 200 respondents about that and 7% being from businesses, that's 14 businesses. I mean, the Hutt Street traders alone are very vocal on our transport strategy and what's going forward. And it doesn't appear to me that this engagement report at all addresses this. So I see this as a complete failure of our engagement process, and we should go back and actually talk and engage representative in a statistically valid way with our own ratepayers, not with ratepayers from Norwood and Burnside and from all around the city, from Unley, from Prospect. I think there's a big push from Prospect to engage so religiously in our consultation. I think the push from Prospect residents is the same size as our business, as all of the businesses in the City of Adelaide. Prospect has the same weight as our businesses have had in this engagement report. Now, I'm not necessarily against the integrated transport strategy, but if you think a consultation like this is satisfactory to then move forward and actually get a representative view of what our ratepayers believe, you've got to be joking. My suggestion is that we should vote this down and that we need to do a bit more targeted work in terms of actually getting consultation with our businesses and less consultation with the residents of Prospect, who I'm sure are lovely people. But I really want to hear from 75% of our ratepayers, not 75% of the report coming back to us being from other areas that don't even pay rates here. Now, we don't have the breakdown of what our business owners have said. We don't have the breakdown of what our residents have said. We have a general breakdown of what everyone has said and a huge contingent from the beautiful residents of Prospect. So we should vote this down, do the consultation properly, because I suggest that this consultation has been hijacked by a small group of interested people who have their own particular views, which is fantastic, but this absolutely does not represent what the views of our ratepayers, which is 75% businesses, actually believe, when only 7% of them, 14 out of how many tens of thousands of businesses are in the city. How can this possibly be a proper representation? So I condemn the report and say we've got to do better next time. And I've seen in the Colonel Light report as well how businesses and business owners and local stakeholders were completely glossed over in that consultation. And I think you'd have to try very, very hard to miss 75% of our ratepayers so successfully.
Councillor. Councillor Snape? No? Any other? Councillor Couros, then Councillor Seaman.
I think the consultation largely played part on the fact that we need better public transport within the City of Adelaide. That is given, and that is widely something that we've actively been pursuing as a capital city, to have a better strategy with public transport within the City of Adelaide. And we come to mind the tram, have been trying to advocate for that for the past 8 years, and it's something that the whole of our residents and our businesses and people that come and visit our city would prefer to see a better network of public transport in the city. What I do have a little bit of a problem with at the moment is that we're asking, with the amendment, we're asking the administration to prepare a report to identify items in the strategy that could be implemented and financed through savings as part of the 25 and 26. Now, I tend to don't think we're going to have much savings, and I don't think we're going to achieve that. And if we do achieve that and we do find savings, I know that our administration will be on the ball to make sure that anything that is of a safety issue, to make sure that it's rectified. I just want to understand, with this amendment, what is it that the mover is seek from our savings, if we have any, that is part of the strategy that we've got before us, because I'm struggling to understand what it is that you're wanting to achieve from this amendment.
So I should just clarify, the Deputy Lord Mayor has moved 1, 2, 3 and 4 as a variation of the motion, not as an amendment. And so, as the CEO described, there was a suggestion in part 3 that throughout the year any savings might be directed towards quick wins.
I understand what his amendment is, but I'm trying to understand what from the savings is he's trying to seek from the strategy, because as he spoke, the mover spoke, he spoke towards about having safety issues rectified, and I know that our administration will be on the ball in regards to all safety. That was a requirement within the City of Adelaide, but we're talking about a strategy that he wants to implement within our budget of 25-26, which is very tight, which we don't have much, we shouldn't be having much savings because apparently we're so strapped, but then we go further into 26 and 27. So I'm just struggling to understand what is the purpose of this, and are we going into a rabbit hole?
I think it's asking for a development plan, a staged implementation plan. It's not asking to actually spend money on anything. It's just a suggestion from the administration.
So we're not spending any money from the savings, we're just going to a plan?
We're going to look
Because
at
there's
savings
money.
and produce a plan.
Implement and financial through savings as part.
It's a request for a report to look at any available savings and give an implementation plan.
So when are those savings going to come in? Quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4?
Don't think we can predict the future. I think this is to get a report, Councillor.
Well, when is that report going to be coming? Where's the direction? I've just, sorry, Lord Mayor, it's like if I'm going to agree
Councillor,
with something...
I'm trying to help you. My understanding is the administration will produce a report at their leisure at a time that's appropriate that will be before there's any money available and before we make, and then we will make decisions about the implementation.
Well, I think then, Lord Mayor, if I'm allowed to speak on this, then I think that this is a bit of a wishy-washy amendment. It's not directive. It's just allowing a broad spectrum of something to happen that may happen, that may not happen if we have savings. I really would rather a more of a directive approach. I won't be supporting this. I think I've coming to realise that if I'm going to be supporting motions, I've got to support something that really delivers. This doesn't really deliver. It's asking if, maybe, if you can.
Then, Councillor, what I shall suggest to the mover is we take it in parts, because you might be happy to note and do other things. So, Councillor Siebentritt.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'll be brief, and I will be supporting this tonight, the strategy, which is our streets full of light. But I do I do know that it is a strategy and it sets our direction for the future, but it does not for a moment mean that we won't scrutinise street by street and precinct by precinct how we direct our investment. And I know one of the things I flagged at the committee leading up to this is I think we do need as a city to come to grips with this notion that we are a dual mode city. We have streets in the city which are major thoroughfares which will require buses to come through serious amounts of traffic which bring 390,000 people in per day. But we also have neighbourhoods, quiet neighbourhoods where people live in a residential setting where an active, healthy lifestyle and that active transport is significantly important. So I will be supporting this strategy. I think it broadly takes us in the right direction, but I do anticipate that as we go through looking at how we invest in works and our streets across the city, we do need to come to grips with the idea that we are in a dual mode city. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Would you like to sum up?
Yes, look, I'd love to sum up, Lord Mayor. And can I ask the administration, was there a council committee meeting to consider both the strategy for the public consultation, the results of the strategy consultation stage 1, was there a council and a committee meeting about strategy 2, the detail of that considered by council and committee, and then a report as well?
So this is a question?
Yes.
The first consultation had thousands of responses, as I recall.
Right.
And it was the second consultation that had a smaller number. So the first consultation was fulsome, let's say, many thousands. Is that so? Mr McCready, that was in March, and then we had further reports after that.
Through to the presiding member, the answer to the Deputy Lord Mayor's question is that there was a committee report and recommendation to Council regarding the Stage 1 engagement. That resulted in Council approving the draft of the strategy for the second round of consultation, which was presented to the reconvened Infrastructure and Public Works Committee on the 17th of July. The recommendations from that committee report are before you tonight.
Thank you very much to the administration. Well, look, I would just say to colleagues, I just can't remember a consultation in the City of Adelaide that has extended over such a lengthy period through as many stages and attracted as many responses. And I find it puzzling that nobody seems to understand that. But it's all clearly detailed in the reports that were presented to committee last week. And I do commend them to my colleagues who may not have read them because the details are extraordinarily precise. We have made clear commitments through the document to particular goals and developed a series of measures that are proposed. And in fact, even if you don't read the report, if you read the summary of the discussion, which is only 4 pages long, it actually describes what those measures are. Now, some of those measures, for my colleagues who may not have read the documents, are described as quick wins. And they relate specifically to safety measures and to improvements in movements, particularly for vehicles and for traffic. And look, if you have a look, it's 13.4 on the committee papers at page 29, but it's also included in the council documents tonight. That is precisely to what I am referring in the first part of point 3. But more particularly, and Lord Mayor, look, I will be voting for this because I have read the papers and I think it's an excellent strategy. But the second part of the document is aimed at addressing what must have been apparent to all of those committee and council members who read the documents, that in the implications and financials page, where it says budget allocation, it is blank. It's just blank. And so the request is to ask the administration to cost the initiatives which are detailed through the commitments from page 143 of the committee papers and to prioritise those. Now, Lord Mayor, I'm not having any difficulty in understanding what's proposed, but I'm happy to repeat what I've just said for anyone who missed any part of that. This is a well-developed strategy and...
Repeat it. I think you've said it once. That's enough.
Are you sure, Lord Mayor?
I think that everyone heard the first time.
So, Lord Mayor, I commend this to my colleagues and I hope they will support it.
His motion does not specifically say that, Lord Mayor.
Councillor, I think he has summed up. So the debate's over. Can I just suggest we take it in parts? So, part 1, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you. Part 2, endorses. Against? That's carried. Thank you. Part 3, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. A division has been called.
Members, a division has been called in relation to part 3 of the motion. Please stand until I call your name if you're in favour of the motion. Deputy Lord Mayor, Councillor Snape, Councillor Giles, Councillor Seepentry and Councillor Abrahimzadeh.
Part 4, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Now, I think there might be more furious agreement with the next item, that's 7.3. We have some amendments at the request of the committee. There was much discussion and there were 2 amendments put forward and a suggestion that the Deputy Lord Mayor, who was in the chair, had another amendment. So can I just ask which is which? The yellow one was the one...
Lord Mayor, can we have some time to go through this, please, because I wasn't at the committee meeting?
I just want to make sure I have an explanation as to which is which.
The red is the amendment that was proposed and supported at the committee. The yellow highlights subsequent amendments.
So if it came from the committee, can I ask why it's not in black?
To highlight...
The red. Okay.
We were asked to highlight.
Okay, all right. So let's go back to this. So moved by Deputy Lord Mayor, seconded by Councillor Snape. We'll just have a couple of minutes to read it.
Lord Mayor, I just have a general conflict of interest which I'll share.
Okay, thank you. So could you just say you have a child at one of these schools? Councillor has declared a general conflict in that he has a child at one of the schools.
2. It's a general declaration of a conflict of interest and I'll be remaining in the room to vote. I have two children, that's not the conflict. I have 2 children attending one of the schools referenced in the report.
Yes. So could I ask if the Deputy Lord Mayor would like to explain his amendments, which he could not put because he was in the chair?
Look, these amendments were placed before the committee, as you will remember, but I'm happy to go through them. Can I just say at the beginning, and indeed it was said at committee, I honestly believe this is a really important piece of work that has been commissioned by the administration and presented us by the consultants. We heard at committee representatives of the North Adelaide Primary School Parents Group talking about their concerns about safety and answering questions from committee about the way in which this document may help them. I again voiced the opinion, and I still hold the view, that what was missing from the document was a staged implementation plan. There is no priority attached to any one particular project. Now, I understand, Lord Mayor, that when we're talking about child safety, every child is a priority, particularly in the minds of the school communities who participated and who are mentioned in this document. However, we as a council have many competing needs for our funding, and therefore I'm asking the administration to develop as best it can a list of those matters which would benefit from our urgent attention through a prioritisation through a staged implementation program. But additionally, it asks that there is a funding mechanism identified, and that would flow from the 26-27 financial year budget considerations. It asks, and perhaps needlessly, because I'm sure the administration is onto it already, that we seek wherever possible state and federal funding assistance in delivering measures in which they may have, as we do, an interest in delivering particular projects. And the final measure that I proposed was that the Lord Mayor, given that each of the school communities were consulted, writes to each of the schools telling them of the outcomes of their participation in the consultants' work, the decisions of council, and if the information is available, how we will proceed. Now, Councillor Siebentrit has proposed a further amendment, which I endorse and which I'll ask him to speak to, in relation to measures which can be adopted quickly and which will bring some benefit to the communities. Lord Mayor, this... Lord Mayor, in summary, this is an important piece of work. I believe each and every elected member would want to support the extensive measures proposed to protect the 10,000 children attending schools and teaching institutions within our city boundaries.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And yes, I echo what the Deputy Lord Mayor has said, and I actually want to commend him for the work that he's put into this and his original motion to get this started. I must confess, I actually owe him a brief apology. I got my wires crossed at the last committee meeting and confused his motion, which is a much more expansive motion around this whole of City of Adelaide review, with a motion I'd put earlier around the St Aloysius safety review, which I have noted has been almost completed. I want to thank the staff for that hard work. I believe you're there recently, Lord Mayor, doing one of your amazing little videos. So it's great to see that we are progressing where we can. But I agree completely with what the Deputy Lord Mayor has said. I support all his amendments. It is mind-boggling that in such a small area, we talk about the square kilometre plus North Adelaide. It's slightly bigger than that. But to have 10,000 school children visiting and being educated and growing up in such a space, we need to do all that we can to make sure that it is a safe city, and that we have measures, improved measures in place. So to see this progress and to see it done in a timely manner, in a thoughtful manner, and a manner of expediency, but considered expediency, I think is a wonderful thing to see. And I shouldn't make any assumptions about how members are going to vote. You're not supposed to do so, but I think this is hopefully something that we can all agree on. Fingers crossed. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Siebentrit, and then I'll ask if anyone's opposed to this. It does seem like motherhood. Councillor Siebentrit.
Lord Mayor, I'll just speak specifically in relation to Part 6, Request Administration Develop a Phased Implementation Plan. I think something that really struck me in the discussion at the committee meeting was how seriously complex this is, and it perhaps goes some way to explaining why it may have taken a little while to build up to this point. And that's why we've got reference here now in Part 6 to a phased implementation plan, looking at signage and improvements, but noting also the urgency regarding signage in support of speed limit changes. I think one of the things we've heard consistently through a lot of this discussion is to really get on top of the speed limits, but we need to be able to navigate our way through the sequencing. So looking at speed limit changes, signage, and then ultimately further infrastructure upgrades. So I look forward to supporting the motion, Lord Mayor.
I need to say, Lord Mayor, that actually these amendments I can actually support because they actually are directive and they're clear and they're precise and they're not wishy-washy. So they're delivering us, they're walking towards us to a solution and to solving the issues that we have within the city and what we hear from parents quite often. So I welcome these amendments. I welcome moving forward in this way, and I welcome the clarity in these amendments to us to deliver it.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Giles. And then I think, with your concurrence, we'll put them all together and vote en bloc.
Yes. Lord Mayor, I just want to rise to speak about this motion's connection with the issue of not just the safety of children through crossings and safe kiss and drop, not drop and kiss and drop areas outside of schools, but also the connection with the use of active transport. The figures that really surprised me and alarmed me in the consultation was the percentage of children who live quite close to their school but have still driven by car. And I think with North Adelaide, it was something like 70% of the students that go to North Adelaide Primary School live in North Adelaide, which is fantastic. They go to their local school, but only 44% of them go to school through walking or through active transport or like riding their bikes because largely they don't feel safe. The section of this report that means that we will be working closely with schools is a great opportunity for us to work in that way so that we can actually encourage more families to feel safe, that they can just let their kids walk in the street and go to school or ride their bike to school. And I think we have a sort of an aim around 30% of students using active transport by 2030 to get to school, and this is something we can work in partnership with the schools in our city.
Thank you. Can I ask if you'd like to sum up, Councillor or Deputy Lord Mayor? All those in favour, en bloc? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move to 13.1, which is the Capital Works Monthly Project. That should be maybe the DLM as well, because he chaired that the infrastructure meeting.
This has come direct to council.
It's come direct to council anyway. But would you like to move, Deputy Lord Mayor, seconded by Councillor Snape? Can I just ask if the Deputy Lord Mayor would like to? Councillor Davis.
Thanks. I note that these are preliminary figures. Will there be a final report come back to council on everything?
I think we're still doing a reconciliation.
Through the presiding member, the report notes that the final figures will be provided in a Q4 business plan and budget update, which is expected at the next committee cycle.
Okay. My next question was in relation to the capital spend. Last year we had a very significant capital spend. I think it was about $9 million, if I'm correct, and this year it's 11. That's a trajectory that I see getting worse, not improving. Does the administration have a response to whether we can actually meet our capital budgets on time and how we're actually going to be able to catch up in the next financial year, given that it's probably actually going to be a greater capital spend next year than this year?
This is paragraph 5.5, but the CEO can explain that.
Yeah. Through the presiding member, I draw the member's attention to paragraph 5.5, which points out the fact that the adopted budget for capital renewal assumed budgeted contingencies of 4.3 million. Due to careful project management of the renewal program over the course of the year, we've actually identified savings of 3.6 million of that 4.3 contingency. So
they're not quite savings, are they? They're just, you haven't spent the contingency that you've allowed.
Yeah, but the contingency was factored into the budget. Therefore, if we've saved the contingency, it's a saving on the budget.
Okay. That then comes to the renewal percentage of 93.5%, which was the target. 92.5, thank you. My estimation then puts that our actual renewal spend is then reduced down to 88%, rather than that 92.5% figure. My question is that when it became apparent that you wouldn't be using the contingency, why wasn't that spending reallocated and a report brought back to council so that we could actually use that money which had been allocated to catch up with our AMPs, given that we're so far behind? Why have we now let ourselves stay at this
Councillor, I don't think we're
level?
too far behind. In fact, it's our biggest spend ever. And the underspend may be to do with Highbury Street.
That's political
and Hutt
spin,
Street.
and I wasn't asking you, thank you.
No, I'm sorry, Councillor.
No, you're just trying to spin politics, and I'm asking why wasn't the budget reallocated?
Explanation of this, please. Thank you.
I'd refer the council member to 5.5.3, which advises that 243,000 of the original 4.3 was actually utilised in terms of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, it would be. Look, can I also confirm? I won't go into debate. Can I also confirm that in this budget we don't have a contingency anymore? Has that item been refused? And it's a good thing that we haven't gone into our contingency. That's an excellent thing, in fact, but that should now be removed, I would say, because the administration's processes seem to be robust enough that if we get an estimate, that we deliver on that, which is a really good thing, and that contingency should be removed from the budget.
Through the presiding member, that's a piece of work we need to progress, noting that the asset management plans themselves do provide for that. So we'd need to do some work in identifying the contingency element and the management processes to manage that, noting that while we've had a great outcome in 24-25 in terms of managing contingency, you can't anticipate that in every budget cycle.
What was it last year and the year before?
I don't have that information available.
Okay. If I may talk to it. Why would you ask him his... I don't think that this Capital Works program is, and the reports consistently over the last 3 years have been going really in the right direction. I've repeatedly said if you need more resources to deliver on these budgets, you should ask for them and the council should seriously consider it. It's not good enough to say, oh yeah, but we did better than last year. That's not how this works. The inflation alone will mean that every single government expenditure in every department will increase year on year in line with CPI. Every year is going to be the biggest year. What we need to do is actually deliver on our commitment, deliver on our AMPs, and we said 93.5%, and there was a significant amount of contingency in there that wasn't spent, which is excellent. So why would we then not reallocate that contingency into actually delivering on our AMPs. It seems to me that the council doesn't need the administration doesn't need the contingency. But what I'm concerned about is whether we can realistically deliver the program that's being set by the administration in the budgets, because it doesn't appear to me that we can. And it seems to me that there's a lot of projects which are being pushed off as well, which has assisted that bottom line. And it's not a criticism. It's do we need extra resources so we can actually deliver our budgets within not a 10% variance, but within a I want to hit the nail on the head every single time. And I really do expect that on a budget of this size, which is actually not that outrageous compared with other councils around Australia, that we should be coming very close to what is budgeted. The other thing is, in our mid-year reports, if we're not using the contingency, I would expect the administration to come back and say, here are other AMPs that we can advance to make sure that we reach that target 92.5%, because at the moment, the council's delivered on its AMPs only 88%. So why wouldn't we try and reallocate that funding and actually deliver more for our ratepayers? So I'm personally not impressed with the capital works projects and what we've delivered. Yes, it's the biggest year ever. Congratulations. It will be the biggest year next year as well, and it will be even bigger the year after. That's how bureaucracies work. They swell and they continue to grow. That's not what we should be doing here. We need to be able to properly and reliably hit our budgets every single year. That's what I expect from the administration. If you need more resources, ask for them, and we shall provide that. But there's no point setting budgets that we cannot fulfil. Thank you.
No other comments? No? Councillor, Deputy Lord Mayor, would you like
yes,
to sum
just
up?
to sum up.
Are you
Lord
summing
Mayor.
up or just
yes,
speaking?
Look, Lord Mayor, I've heard my colleagues speak, and look, I'm a bit more optimistic, and I haven't even had, a breakaway. But I think that the administration has done an excellent job in delivering the programs it has. We only have to cast our minds back a little way to understand that we were meeting 70-something over the previous 10 years, 70-something% of our asset management obligations. We have now accelerated that through the management of the administration, and I might add, with the precautionary provision of contingency. Now, Lord Mayor, I understand how that works, and I do understand that most commercial projects require a contingency fund to be set aside as part of the budget for any development to cover expected and unexpected events. Clearly, inflation, contractors, unforeseen circumstances can change the way in which a project is costed. It happens overnight. And in those circumstances, were it not for contingency, there would be further demands on the funds of the City of Adelaide. That the administration, through the prudent management of projects, has been able to deliver a $3.6 million improvement on what was allocated is a matter for some celebration. Good on you. Let's do it every year.
Thank you. That noting, all those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on next to item 13.2, which is a report on my travels to Bonn last month. I don't know if anyone would like to move it. Moved by Councillor Sieventrit, seconded by Councillor Davis. I don't know if there's any discussion on that. There's a report. No. Thank you.
Do we get it? Is it thumbs up, thumbs down? How are you feeling? What's the vibe?
I think there was a view that we would probably get it, but I don't think we should get ahead of ourselves. The general consensus was the announcement hadn't been made. If we wait till the announcement, it will be too late to prepare. So the suggestion was we had to prepare with the likelihood we would get it. Otherwise, there's so much to organise, it would be impossible for us to get our city ready.
So we're going to assume essentially that we've got it, to start doing preliminary work. Is that something that's going to come back to council in terms of planning for this?
The federal state government are assuming and they're doing work.
That's good. Okay, well, touch wood. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Could someone move it as printed? Moved by Councillor Siebentreut, seconded by Councillor Davis. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Now to my report. In the last fortnight, we've had a series of significant anniversaries and events. The fortnight began with a symbolic and heartfelt gesture in the South Parklands. I attended a cherry tree planting in the Himeji Garden to commemorate two 40-year milestones, the gardening's opening and the formation of the Japanese Society of South Australia. The cherry blossom, or sakura, is a powerful symbol of renewal and the beauty and impermanence, really, in Japanese culture. And it felt deeply fitting to honour this enduring friendship with a living monument that will continue to bloom for decades to come. I also attended a dinner celebrating the 80th anniversary of the Adelaide Archery Club in North Adelaide. Many of you would know it's the largest archery club of its kind in the state and has an impressive track record of fostering members who go on to represent Australia at World Cup and Olympic events. The club expressed their gratitude and asked me to thank you all for the funding grant that we made to help them upgrade their club rooms. The project was completed in December and they're extremely grateful for our support. Interestingly, and I had no idea of this, archery was introduced to Adelaide by Colonel William Light. Apparently he arrived with his own bow and quiver of arrows and set up an archery site behind what is now Government House. The other spirit of legacy and leadership was at the forefront of the Lord Mayor's NAIDOC Awards, and I was proud to present the Aboriginal Achievement Award to Craig Rigney, the CEO of Korma Windmill Yunti, KWY. He has been a leading voice in the fight to end family and domestic violence affecting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women and children. Through his tireless advocacy and leadership of KWY, Craig has made a lasting contribution to the well-being and safety of our communities. From recognition to collaboration, I was also pleased to attend the recent North Adelaide Precinct networking event with the Deputy Lord Mayor and Councillor Kouros. I had the opportunity to speak with business owners and residents about council initiatives, and the conversation ranged from precinct activation to broader city shaping projects like Live Golf and the North Adelaide Golf Course, Hindley Street upgrade and the Light Square proposition. We also learnt much about 88 O'Connell and the tenancies that will enliven the whole precinct. In a similar vein, I joined the 25th anniversary celebrations of the Grote Street Precinct Association. It's a quarter of a century that this group of precinct advocates have worked with their communities to support a very diverse cultural group within the neighbourhood. I also helped to acknowledge the association's sustained commitment to shaping Grote Street as a thriving destination for food, culture and commerce. Like many of you, I attended the Horizon event during the closing weekend of Illuminate, and I also attended the North Adelaide Football Club game following the unexpected death of South Australia's stellar football player, Barry Robran. Someone move my report be received. Moved by Councillor Davis, seconded by Councillor Abrahimzadeh. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Could we now move on to other council members' reports? Councillor Giles.
Lord Mayor, I wish to make a personal statement.
Personal explanation, please.
Personal explanation. I acknowledge that Robert Lloyd Henry Davis, known to us as Councillor Henry Davis, has in documents sent to me formally asserted that I defamed him at the council meeting of July the 9th, 2024. I do not believe, nor have I ever believed, as the document sent to me allege, that Councillor Davis is a misogynist. I do not believe that he initiates attacks on women in council or on social media or endorses or encourages the mocking of women by engaging in attacks or posts that are disrespectful, or that he passively approves of such behaviour. Lord Mayor, I want to assure you, the Chamber, and especially Councillor Davis, that what Councillor Davis asserts occurred was not my intent. I publicly and unconditionally apologise to Councillor Henry Davis for any hurt or distress that he feels, and I unconditionally retract my assertions of July the 9th in their entirety.
I'd very much like to thank Councillor Giles for the apology, and I accept her apology, and I look forward to working with the Chamber going forward.
Thank you, Councillor. So could I ask that person
Lord Mayor, I have two that I'd like to note. One is that I held another round of street corner meetings last weekend, and I wanted to pass on the feedback from the community who were glowing in their feedback around how the park lanes were being managed, and CEO, if I could pass through you to the team who's looking after the stellar job that's been done, particularly in the southern park lanes. Lord Mayor, I also wanted to briefly, if I may, pay tribute to Leith Bully, who passed away just recently. Many of the members in the chamber here won't be familiar with Leith. Leith was a farmer from Queensland. She was deeply respected for involvement in various private and public sector boards. She was also a member of the Wentworth Group of Concerned Scientists. Now, some of you may be thinking, why are we paying tribute to a Queensland farmer here in the City of Adelaide Chamber? But Leith was absolutely pivotal as a community leader, bringing people together right across the Murray-Darling Basin around the reforms for the Murray-Darling Basin, the water reforms, that is. And many may not be aware here in the city that actually Adelaide relies in most years on the River Murray for its water, and so the valuable work that Leith did around water reforms has significantly contributed to Adelaide and I believe its status as a livable city. Above and beyond that though, Leith was also a champion and a driver of the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation. So again, you might think, why are we talking about the Australian Rural Leadership Foundation here in our city? But I can guarantee you that when you walk around the streets of Adelaide, there are many people who participated in that program who benefited from Leith's wisdom. The final point I'd reflect on is Leith also taught those of us who participated in programs, and while I hadn't spoken with Leith in a number of years, I had participated in a program with her. She taught us about the value of evidence-based decision-making and how when issues are tough, you get together, establish a consistent evidence base, and you grind it out to try and find a policy solution that is in the best interest of your community as a whole. An incredibly valuable lesson that she shared with people going back 20 or 30 years, and it's still as relevant today. So, Lord Mayor, I'd like to pay my respect to Leith Bully, who was described by one of her friends and a colleague as a fearless leader, a kind person, and also a smart leader. Valet Leith Bully.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I just go around the room? Councillor Abrahimzadeh? No?
Lord Mayor, I do have a question, if I may. And excuse me while I use my phone, I've forgotten my other device. No, it's a question about item 15.1. Yes. I just wanted to see, it looks very quiet. Is it usually like that around the end of financial year for events?
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe someone could help me. Was it unusually quiet? Everyone's quiet.
Maybe we just got uninvited from everything. We did, yeah. We did try to cut the Australia Day funding and the History Trust and all that.
Just an observation, Lord Mayor.
I'm sorry. Councillor Davis?
Yes, just an upcoming event of quite significance. The Australian Leadership Dialogue is meeting in Hobart in the 10th of August, and then they'll be coming to Adelaide. This is quite an important strategic program between Australia and the US, well funded by the Department of Defence, and it builds ties between Australia and the US, and there's some pretty notable stories of where those connections have come into play. They'll be coming to Adelaide in mid-August, and I just wanted to advise the Chamber that that would be the case. I'm obviously a member of that program, so I'll be in attendance, but I think perhaps it would be great, Lord Mayor, if you could come along and meet some of the candidates at some point. Perhaps I could assist with that. But yeah.
Councillor Couros?
Only to say, Lord Mayor, that I think we should acknowledge the great event of Illuminate Adelaide over the past couple of weeks. Our city was lightened up.
Illuminated.
Over that time with children that I saw being out with their families, enjoying and being delighted with all what was there, what was in display on North Terrace and Rundle Street. The businesses were very, very happy with the amount of people that were out and about, and it just goes to show how events that reach out to on the street, how important they are rather than being consolidated and in, because the people that were out and about, the businesses that I had spoken to, the people, the vibe that we're feeling in the city is that they were actually really appreciating the event and what it brought to them. and the businesses were very supportive of Illuminate Adelaide on that side of things. So I just want to acknowledge what they do. Anyone who visited the Luma Bar, that was an excellent event, and it had everybody walking our streets. So thank you to the organisers, and I just want to acknowledge them tonight.
Deputy Lord Mayor, did you have?
Yes, Lord Mayor. Look, I just wish to make a personal explanation, if I may. Thank you. Look, as has been reported today, yesterday I wrote to the Attorney-General copying my email to the Minister for Local Government, advising them I had received information about what appeared to be forged signatures associated with enrolment forms and voter declaration forms completed before the or at the 2022 City of Adelaide elections for Central Ward. These documents are signed by more than one individual, and I recognise one of the signatories as someone I believe was a member of the Liberal Party at that time. I understand that the information is new and was not considered by the Court of Disputed Returns. My concern, and that of the party which provided the information to me, is that the identities provided could remain on the supplementary roll for the Central Ward and could have the potential to provide the basis for a legal challenge to the result in next month's elections. Lord Mayor, I particularly want to note the assurances that have been given by the CEO about the integrity of the supplementary roll and the steps that have been taken by the administration to protect it, as also reported today. I further raised an allegation that voters had also been contacted after the 2022 election and asked how and for whom they voted. I raised also the question of the involvement of political parties in next month's election, noting there is a possibility that some kind of vetting process had taken place for candidates affiliated with the Liberal Party, together with what appears to be the endorsement of a Labor candidate by a sitting MHA. Lord Mayor, I offered to provide to the state's principal legal officer the information passed to me so that there might be urgent action to ensure public confidence in the vote of head to deter any illegal voting activity, and I remain committed to that undertaking.
Thank you. So can I ask if someone moved noting...
Can I, sorry, just off the back of that, I know this is a bit out of order. In the article, you said that you would give the information if the Attorney-General asked you. Did you actually just give all the information that you'd received to the Attorney-General, or are you waiting to be asked for that information?
I think
Mayor, I'm not required to answer the questions.
For the Deputy Lord Mayor, do you wish to answer that?
No, Lord Mayor, no comment.
Okay. Can I move a motion without notice then that...
Would you mind just waiting till we've dealt with this and then I'll come back to you? Would that be... Because we're in the middle of this motion at the moment. It would be untidy. So can I ask if we note the council members that particularly moved by Councillor Snape, seconded by Councillor Giles. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Can we just deal with Councillor Giles's matter and her motion, then we'll come back to you, Councillor Davis. So, Councillor Giles, shall we take your report as read? 15.2.
Yes, Lord Mayor. I have made some recommendations and they'll be appearing at a future council meeting.
And I've also received a letter from Tanya Taylor asking us to deal with a 30-30 target, which you have got a chance to read about and maybe involved in our school program that the Deputy Lord Mayor has talked of. So could we, that's moved by Councillor Giles, seconded by Councillor Snape. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. So can we just clear your next motion, Councillor Giles, and then we'll go back to Councillor Davis. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Look, I rise to address the issue in relation to consultation with Aboriginal people and traditional owners as it relates to the golf course development that the government has passed legislation through the Parliament. I was very... we were all gobsmacked that a whole pile of legislation was basically quashed through the legislation that's been passed by the state government. But the thing that we had a little bit of hope in is that at least they didn't quash the Aboriginal Heritage Act as part of the process of determining what cultural significance there may be in the area that's been identified for the upgrade of the or development, I should say, of the golf course. Then I thought that there would be some sort of proper process, but what I'm really concerned about is that there appears to be, in my view, a tokenistic regard to that requirements under the Aboriginal Heritage Act. And the way that Aboriginal people and the Kaurna traditional owners are being consulted is, in my view, tokenistic, and it's also culturally inappropriate. I know that we don't have a role in this, however, we can have a role in requesting to the Premier that the process of consultation under the Aboriginal Heritage Act is done in a more sensitive, more culturally appropriate a way than it is currently. When you have a look at the Your Say document if you have a look at the documents on the Your Say website the state government's put up, what you'll notice is that the writing and the documents are very difficult to understand, even for people that have got their heads around legislation and processes. Largely, the proposal's been written by the Department of Infrastructure and Transport, and the Heritage Act is described in a way that is pretty legalistic. So somebody who doesn't have that background would find it very difficult, I think, to respond. They also require people to put in a submission. There's no questionnaire or anything like that on the website. In a simple description of what this actually means is that under the Aboriginal Heritage Act, there can be an applicant who has to get permission from the minister to... sorry, I will need some more time. They will need to get permission from the minister to, in relation to going ahead with the development, taking into regard Section 21 and 23. Now, this reads, the applicant in this case is the Department of Premier and Cabinet, and the minister is the Minister of the Crown. So basically, the applicant has applied for permission to go ahead with excavation, access, anything that damages or disturbs or interferes with the site, with sites, objects or remains that are of Aboriginal heritage. This area of the parklands is significantly important in terms of Aboriginal heritage, and it has been documented that this is. So it's not something we have to discover now, it's something that we really know already. Karawera, the name of the River Torrens, is a significant area for Kaurna people, and it means the River Red Gum Forest. The other significant area is Percha Wadley, which is the area where Aboriginal people met during the early years of colonisation, and where the Kaurna language was first written down. And it was, you could even say it was the reason that the Kaurna language is surviving today, regardless of the colonisation that occurred later. My motion calls for us to actually approach the Premier and ask for a proper process that isn't tokenistic and is culturally inclusive and appropriate within the Heritage Act, which doesn't specify how consultation should occur. And also, probably the biggest point in all of this is the consultation is occurring without a proposal in front of people. So, in other words, they are being asked to give carte blanche, is that the word? To the excavation of important country without knowing where, what and what the proposal will look like. So I urge you to support this motion.
So your seconder, who was Councillor Snape?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And look, I won't add too much more because Councillor Giles has been extremely thorough, and I thank her for this motion and the thought and effort that has gone into it. It is a very serious issue. It is one of deep concern. And as Councillor Giles has mentioned, it is an area of strong significance to the Ghana people and their history and culture. I also I realise that we don't have much powers, and I'm hoping that a letter from the Lord Mayor will add some weight to the concerns of hopefully this chamber. I also have concerns around the integrity of this particular form of consultation, and also note that the penalty for messing this up, for lack of a better word, is $2 million for companies. And that's an awful lot of money for a small family business, but for a multinational Saudi oil conglomerate, $2 million is absolutely nothing. So there's a concern I have that possibly that money could be put aside just to railroad genuine cultural concerns around the site by those if needed. So I think we need to do everything that we can, including using our voice. And I acknowledge it's not the strongest. It's not a sledgehammer, but it's the only option we really have in front of us. And so I certainly commend Councillor Giles and this motion, and I know it's something you yourself, Lord Mayor, would support. And so I commend this motion as well.
If not, would you like to sum up, Councillor?
Only very briefly to say that this motion also enables us to properly consult with our own reconciliation committee, and we need to do that. We need to put something in to the government which reflects the views that we can talk to our own good processes to the state government. And the other thing, what was it? It's another one thing. Too bad, I've forgotten. So yes, I sum up.
Thank you. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. So, Councillor Davis, thank you for your patience. Now, you'll have a motion without notice.
Yes. The notion is one, that Council notes the public comments made by Councillor Martin in relation to alleged voter fraud, which could impact the upcoming by-election, and other matters as raised by him on the 22nd of July 2025. Point 2, that the Council commences an urgent investigation into the claims or concerns raised by Councillor Martin regarding the integrity of the City Council elections, and a report to be provided back to the Council as soon as possible. And 3, the Council requests that Councillor Martin provide the Council with the information he has in his possession, together with the source of his concerns.
So, Councillor, can I just suggest that we remove that the Council 2 and 3, because
Sure.
you've got the root at the top.
Yep.
So can we just have a bit of an edit and a typo clearance, and then can we just tidy it up a moment?
Yep.
Can you? That Council is the root.
Council is the
I'm sorry, it's my fault. Could you just finish the last sentence?
The Council requests that Councillor Martin provide the Council with information he has in possession,
Together with
in relation, together with correspondence to the Attorney General, to ensure the integrity of the council by-election.
So we'll just get the tidying up. I think there's a slight problem about our capacity to investigate. I might have to ask administration.
Lord Mayor, clearly I have a conflict of interest as a consequence of the motion that's raised, and I would propose that I declare that conflict and leave the room until the matter is dealt with.
Thank you. So we'll go back to trying to just, can we just tidy the words, Councillor, without wishing to...
Oh yes, please go ahead. I'm still suffering from jet lag, so it's 3 a.m. as far as I'm concerned.
Now I'll ask...
If I might assist, Lord Mayor.
Yes, but then we'll also have to work out... we can't force Councillor Martin to do anything, can we? And
we can't force him to, but we can ask him to.
Sorry.
Sure.
I think there's some merit to that. Can we change the order? We'll just get a logical order.
Yes.
That's about it. The motion. It's just part 3. Do we do investigations? Can I just get some advice?
To progress an investigation, we need some evidence or data. So
He did make the comments generally, so.
So 3 should be subject to the provision of information.
CEO, I wouldn't include that. We may not have that. Councillor Martin might say, I'm not giving it to you. He has made the comments publicly, and so essentially what I think, and I'll speak to it, but I think we should just commence the investigation. If we don't have the information that's available to us, so be it. But he has made those allegations publicly, and I think they should be investigated regardless. Because there may be other information that is in possession of other staff members or councillors, or there may be forthcoming.
Can I just clarify? I thought it was EXA or the police that would be involved with this rather than us. Do we have the investigatory power?
We would need to take advice from the elected commissioner regarding any powers.
So I'm just trying to get some advice about the validity of part 3. Can I ask some advice about whether we can accept the motion? Need an amendment.
You can say as far as legally, as far as possible, or to the extent possible, and then that would cure any kind of.
So after investigation, to the extent possible.
That's a rather elegant device. Thank you.
I'm a lawyer.
I know.
So without powers or evidence, it wouldn't progress.
So can we accept it then? We are happy with this. Okay, got it. Can we have a seconder? Councillor Abrahimzadeh.
Great. In speaking to it, look, we've heard some extremely serious accusations about the integrity of the upcoming supplementary election. From what it seems to me, and that was reported in Daily, largely, and then also reiterated by Councillor Martin tonight, that potentially it could have the possibility of corrupting that election, causing another by-election, and causing that election to be held to be invalid, and potentially another 3-year court case into these practices. We may not be able to do everything we need to be able to do to get to the bottom of it, but very much it could very well be the case. Well, as a council, we do play a significant part in that election, and I think that it is extremely important for the council to be seen and to do everything possible to preserve as far as possible the integrity of that council election. We have some 19 candidates who are eagerly awaiting the distribution of the balloting material, and extremely serious allegations have been put forward into the public, which undermines the confidence of that outcome. Really, not as any fault or any criticism of Councillor Martin, but that is simply the reality of those comments. They are severe in their highest form. So I'm requesting that we as a council do everything within our power to our extent possible to deal with any of those issues. It could very well be the case that after conducting an investigation there is nothing we can do, or there is no power for us to continue. However, it may be the case that information would be forthcoming, and perhaps we could then at least refer that to a relevant authority who would then appropriately deal with it. But I think that the people of Adelaide and the candidates should know that the City of Adelaide are doing everything they can to defend our democracy and to actively ensure that we don't spend $100,000 in a protracted legal case.
Thank you, Councillor. Your seconder, Councillor Abrahimzadeh.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I certainly welcome the intent of the motion, but I do have an alternative, which is to keep part 1.
Is this an amendment?
Yes, an amendment, sorry, thank you, Lord Mayor. To keep part 1, remove parts 2 and 3, and then create a new part 2, which notes comments from a spokesperson from a minister encouraging any person with concerns or allegations of improper or illegal behaviour in a local government election. Encouraging any person with concerns or allegations of improper or illegal behaviour in a local government election. Alert the Independent Electoral Commissioner. And I'm happy to speak to that as well.
May I just say, my view is that it is at variance to the original motion. However, I would be very happy, depending if the seconder is to include that as a point 4 and then take the matter in parts.
Can I just ask if you have a seconder to your amendment before we just discuss?
It's got nothing to do with it, it's just a commissioner.
Well, can I ask if, in that case, Councillor Davis, if he wants to incorporate that as 4?
I see nothing wrong with that. I think that's a good signal.
And Councillor Abrahimzadeh, would you be happy with that? So you still wish to delete 2 and 3, Councillor Snape?
If I've got a seconder to do so, I will otherwise happy to incorporate. I'm in the
I'm just trying to steer this along the middle path to make everyone happy.
Councillor Stevenshire, do you think that's more appropriate to go to the Electoral Commissioner?
I just...
Apologies, I withdraw that.
I just want to know if you have a seconder.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, Lord Mayor, but apparently not. Okay, I don't have a seconder. Amazing. Absolutely appalling.
I think this is really, really important. Democracy has really taken a hit over the last 3 years, and democracy might take another hit if we're not careful. My concern is that Councillor Martin has come out saying that he's got documentation which proves, and if that is the case, then he should have gone to authorities straight away with this. I don't know how long he's had it in possession. I'm very worried about it. I'm very concerned it's gone to the media. There's a letter that went out, then the media wrote a story. you know, what's at play here? I'm very, very concerned. Is it just to, you know, highlight something, or is it to create a bit of a swirl in what's happening at the moment? I don't know. And it's really important that we as a council get to the bottom of it. I'm very disappointed in Councillor Martin going to the media with this. I am extremely disappointed he didn't go directly to the authorities. I am concerned that he hasn't done so. That is what he should have done from the beginning. And now the matter is in our hands because it's out there, and we need to do the right thing. And we need to make sure that this election that we have before us, the supplementary election, is legit, and we're not going to be dragged through the courts again, and that we have got good elected members that have been not elected through any process of fraud, and here to represent the ratepayers. That's what we're here to do. Yes, my disappointment runs deep with Councillor Martin. Yes, there shouldn't have been an article in the paper today. Yes, it should have gone to the minister. Yes, it should have gone to the electoral commissioner. Yes, he should have acted on this promptly. But here we are, and we need to act upon it, not ignore it. We need to do the right thing, and we need to make sure.
Furious agreement now, Councillor Subendrit.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm just still in the process of getting my head around the four parts of the motion here that are in front of us. In relation to part two, a question for the administration, and I know this was touched on earlier, but just want to clarify that further. To what extent can we compel the Deputy Lord Mayor to provide the information that's referred to? So just trying to understand what the implication is of two.
Through me to the CEO, I don't think we can.
Through the presiding member, appropriately, two is framed as a request. There's no power of direction through a request.
Can I ask a quick question? To the extent, under the Local Government Act, where a member has information which is a document of council, so if someone writes to me an email, for example, that becomes a document of council, it must be then lodged with the council, and then it becomes goes on to our public record keeping system. I would suggest that whilst we can't request even that those documents are required to be lodged if they are a matter for council or relate to the council business, or he's received those in his capacity as a councillor. So perhaps even if he doesn't adhere with the request, Councillor Martin is currently under an obligation to lodge those documents with the council if they relate to his position as a councillor. So, for example, a member of the public wrote to him. That's my understanding. I think that might be
So
correct.
is that a question or something
Yeah,
else?
it is. Is that a logical frame of thought process as well?
I think it is logical.
My understanding is that the letter to the Attorney-General was submitted by Philip Martin as a private individual, not a council member.
A point where we...
That's incorrect, CEO. He lodged it as a councillor, I'm sure of it. Have we seen that letter? Do you know that for a fact? Well, then we can't be sure of that.
But I understood that it was not on... It wasn't as the Deputy Lord Mayor.
But we're not sure if he signed it off as Councillor Philip Martin.
Councillor Snape, have you spoken?
I
think you have.
To my addition?
No, it's not. It's become an incorporated motion now. I think you've spoken. I think we might just sum up, Councillor Davis. We've got to the end of the road.
Thank you. Thank you, members, for the indulgence. And I do remind members that the allegations were made in this chamber as the Deputy Lord Mayor during matters for council. So it is certainly now... It's not something we can ignore, right? He's brought this up to the council meeting. He's made those allegations. He's informed us that he wrote to the Attorney-General in this chamber, in here. It's now our problem. And quite rightly, I think that every ratepayer, every candidate would expect us to take, as far as possible and to the extent possible, every action we can to investigate this, and in what it might not be within our capacity. So that investigation report might come back and say, we have very limited powers to deal with this matter. Alternatively, if the information was received in his capacity as a councillor or sent in his capacity as a councillor, then those documents must be lodged under the Local Government Act with the council, as they are property of the council. And further, Councillor Martin may very well just actually give us those documents to assist us in that investigation. There's nothing here to say that he won't do that. So there is a lot of outcomes here, but I think that we need to be seen to do everything we can to defend the integrity of this process and do everything possible. And it may well be the case that we can't do that much, but actually it may be well the case that we can do a very lot. And we do not want to be in a position where we could trigger significant criticism for turning a blind eye to the comments made in this public chamber from the Deputy Lord Mayor of the City of Adelaide. So I don't see any problem with this. It's simply a process that we should run to give confidence, and so I seek your support, members.
Councillor, could you just assist me? Do you want
Yes.
this in parts or en bloc?
Which
Does anybody have an interest in en bloc then? Shall we do it en bloc then?
or parts? I don't mind. A block, yeah, block fine. Parts.
Unless there's a push to have it. Okay, part 1. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Part 2. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Part 3. Against? That's carried. Part 4. Sorry, I think you haven't voted, Councillor Snape. Number 4. All those in favour? Against? Thank you, members. Thank you for your indulgence. Can I now move on? Are there any other motions to that notice? Any other questions? No? In that case, we'll move on to the next item.
We're just waiting for Councillor Martin to come back.
Can we round up Councillor Martin?
She's on the way.
He's missing. Sorry? I would like to exclude the public, but
We need to wait until Councillor Martin comes back.
I've been told I can't exclude the public till Councillor Martin comes back. I don't know. I sometimes take instructions.
I don't think that's true. We can move the exclusion motion whenever we want. There he is.
Councillor Martin has just returned. Oh no, I'm going to have to wait for you. No. Oh no. I have to wait for Councillor Martin. I think we have a quorum, so I'm going to ask someone to move item 20, exclusion of the public. Moved by Councillor Abraham, second by Councillor Seabury. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We have to move forward exclusions, so that was 20. Can I move 21 now and 22? All those in favour? Moved by Councillor Abraham, second by Councillor Seabury. All those in favour? I'm a number behind. Yes, but now number 23. Councillor Abraham today and Councillor Seabury have moved it. Councillor number 23, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. And 23.2, moved by Councillor Abraham today, second by Councillor Seabury. All those in favour?